Hey everyone, Victor is here, and in this video I want to talk about the Wolff-Kishner reduction, which is a reaction where we are going to take a carbonyl, like an aldehyde or a ketone, and we are going to completely remove our carbonyl, reducing it all the way to a corresponding alkane. The reaction has two distinct phases. In the first phase we are going to form the hydrazone intermediate, and then in the second phase we are going to eliminate the nitrogen, giving us the final product. So let's talk about each of those two steps in our reaction in more details. And I want to start naturally with the hydrazone formation. And this reaction can be done both in basic and acidic conditions, so let's talk about the acidic conditions first. Now I'm going to start with the same example that I had on my screen a moment ago, and the first step in this mechanism is going to be the nucleophilic attack from our hydrazine onto our carbonyl like this. Hydrazine is a very good nucleophile, so we don't really need to protonate our carbonyl here, and as a result of this nucleophilic attack, we are going to get the following intermediate. Now, from this point, we are going to have a couple of proton transfers, which going to give us the following neutral intermediate, which technically we can refer to as a hemiaminal of a sort. Now, at this point, this is where the acidic conditions are going to come to play. We're going to bring our H+, and we're going to protonate the OH, so I'm going to take this OH that I have over here and protonate that to convert that into a corresponding leaving group looking like so, and then from this point we're going to have nitrogen helping our molecule kick the leaving group out, so we're going to have the leaving group dissociating like this, giving us the following intermediate where we basically have our protonated hydrazone. So the last bit here is to deprotonate our molecule to make a neutral intermediate, and to do that I'm going to bring another equivalent of my hydrazine, or essentially anything with an electron pair, and do my final proton transfer like this, giving me my hydrazone intermediate. This is a fairly straightforward mechanism, and most likely you have already seen that when you were talking about the imine formation, because essentially this is an imine formation, but instead of the primary amine we are using the hydrazine. Now, as I've mentioned, this reaction can also be done in basic conditions. So if we look at this reaction in basic media, then I'm going to start with the same starting materials, but now instead of pH 5, I'm going to indicate that I have potassium hydroxide present, and the first step here, just like in my previous reaction, is going to be the nucleophilic attack from my hydrazine onto the carbonyl. So I'm going to show the nitrogen attacking my carbonyl like so, giving me the following intermediate. From this point I'm going to bring the OH, and I will have this OH deprotonating my nitrogen like this, giving me a intermediate with a negatively charged oxygen, and then from here I'm going to have water that is present in our media from the previous step come in and protonate my O- like this, again bringing me back to my neutral intermediate, similar to what I had in my acidic mechanism. Now from this point we are going to get rid of our OH, but since we are working in the basic media now, I'm going to bring my OH minus, and I'm going to show this an E2 style reaction like this, giving me my final product looking like so. Now at this point, once we have our hydrazone intermediate, we are going to move on to the next step, which is going to be the loss of the nitrogen. So I'm going to redraw my hydrazone, now showing all the hydrogens, and I'm going to bring the OH minus because the elimination of the N2 does happen in the basic conditions. And the first step in this part of the mechanism is going to be my OH coming in and pulling the proton from this hydrazone portion of the molecule. Now normally a regular primary amine would have a pKa of somewhere around 36, but since we do have this sort of like an allylic style system, the pKa here is going to be somewhat lower, but it's not low enough for this reaction to be favorable. So while we are going to see the formation of the following negatively charged intermediate, the equilibrium constant in this reaction is hardly a huge number. But the important thing about this specific one is that this guy is stabilized by the resonance. So I am going to show another resonance contributor by moving my electrons like this, showing the resonance contributor with the minus on the carbon. And that part, that contributor is important because now when I bring my water, I can show that I can reprotonate my molecule at this position, giving me the following intermediate over here. Now, from this point, we're almost done at the formation of the N2 that can pop off, so we are going to bring the base again, and at this point, I'm going to kind of combine two steps by taking the OH, pulling this proton off, and cascading my electrons like so, giving me the following negatively charged intermediate. Now, research does suggest that we are actually initially going to form a negative charge on the nitrogen, and from that point it's going to pop off. But for the simplicity's sake, again, I'm just combining these steps here so I don't make my mechanism endlessly long. Now, while at this point I am forming the carb anionic intermediate here, and this reaction, this step might seem very unfavorable, it's actually not as unfavorable as you might think, because what we are having here as the co-product is an N2 gas, and once this gas leaves, once it bubbles away, that becomes a driving force for the reaction, because this step, due to the evolution of the gas, is a non-equilibrium step. Once the gas is gone, well, it is gone. So the only thing that is left for our carbanion is to grab a proton from anything around it, so I'm going to show water coming in, providing this proton over here and giving us our final product looking like this. So overall, reaction is quite unfavorable all the way until this last step where the nitrogen gas is going to pop off and just fly away. And another problem with this reaction, probably one of the biggest limitations of the Wolff-Kishner reaction, is that the original procedure requires the reaction to happen at a very high temperature. We are talking about 200-250 degrees centigrade. That is an astronomical heat for a lot of organic substances, so even if your substance doesn't decompose on its own, chances are it will just boil away and just fly away with the rest of the reaction mixture. So the original Wolff-Kishner procedure has a severe limitation on the number of molecules that it can actually work with. However, over the years, people have investigated this reaction heavily, and there are currently methods how to do Wolff-Kishner at room temperature, and it can potentially give you good results. Another problem with this reaction is that in most cases, if you want to do it in general conditions, you will have to preform your hydrazone, so you cannot do it as a single pot procedure. And because hydrazine that you are going to be using to make the corresponding hydrazone is a very nucleophilic species, the tolerance to many other functional groups here is fairly low. So you pretty much cannot have most other electrophilic functional groups in your molecule because hydrazine will mess them up. Nonetheless, despite the fact that this reaction is ancient, it's over 100 years old, it is still used up to this date and has seen some use in total synthesis and is used nowadays on a multi-pound scale to make certain important chemicals for the industry. And of course, since this reaction has a very long and tedious mechanism, that is a prime example of something that you might expect on the exam. So do make sure you know this mechanism well in both basic and acidic condition and the final elimination part. And as always, thank you for watching. If you learned something new today, boop that like button and let me know about that in the comments below. Check out this video next, and I will see you next time.